Hey guys, I did a very long video of this fan last night, but it didn't really show up well in the nighttime with no sunlight, so I'm going to do a shorter video now. If you want to hear my whole story about the fan, and I'm still trying to figure out which side is the best light-wise. No, that's too much glare. If you want to hear my whole story about the fan, see kind of a mini tour of the upstairs of the house, or really the upper two levels, I showed both. You know, watch that video. I go into a lot more detail, and yeah. Also, I did the trigonometry on the blade pitch. It is an 8-degree blade pitch. You do this inverse sine. Okay, so you take the height difference in the blades, which was a little bit more than 3/4 of an inch, and then you divide that by the width of the blade, which was a little bit more than 6 inches, and you're going to get a very small number, and you do inverse of sine on that number, and then I got like 7 point something that I rounded up to 8. So also, I tried to do a little bit of a teaser on this fan on Instagram and Facebook, because I didn't think anyone would guess what this is. And everybody's guessing that it's a Broadway, which was actually my third choice after this. And the only reason I didn't go with the Broadway is because the wood blades are so much lighter. I think I talked about that in the last video. Excuse me, damn it, I never have water when I need it. Yeah, so everybody thinks this is a Broadway, which is ironic because I almost put a Broadway here. And I was going to do the Broadway if this didn't work out. So, yeah. But yeah, it's an 8-degree pitch, which is shallower than most Casablancas, which were somewhere between 10 and 13. And some hunters were as much as 15 or 18 with the reverse air and all that. But these being the longer, heavier blades, like I said, I experimented with some different pitches. I started with what I thought was a normal-looking blade pitch, which is probably around 15 degrees, maybe closer to 13, somewhere between 13 and 15. And it was lethargically slow. And then I made them flat, and it ran super fast. And so I was like, okay, so I just sort of started increasing the pitch slightly until it performed like I wanted it to perform, and that's where I got. So I'll probably leave it alone, hopefully. You know, I try to convince myself to leave things alone, but I need to find some water. I'm going to do that while it's getting up to speed. Now, the only downside is that I think it doesn't look as cool with the shallow pitch. So, sorry, I'm getting a water. And so, I might try to see if I can steepen the pitch a little bit without losing performance. But I bet that if I go even a degree steeper, that, it will, come on, water, where are you at? Not perform as well. And like I said, this way, despite the poor design, the motor being underpowered, the blades being heavy, and so on and so forth, it actually performs decently. I get an aesthetic low, I get a useful medium, and I actually get some air moving on high. Like I said, it probably doesn't move as much air as a standard 52-inch Casablanca, which is ironic since it's bigger, but given that these were just coming out of fans designed to be decorative and not functional, it's pretty good that I get anything out of it at all, honestly. When I first talked to Tom about this fan, again, I go into more detail in the longer video, but when I first talked to Tom about this fan, he was like, yeah, it was still basically designed to be a decorative fan as opposed to a functional fan, even though it has a real motor. And I'm gonna, if it continues to wobble, I'm going to balance the blades. All the fans in this house, if they continue to wobble, I'm putting them up and not doing any balancing. And then I'm going to see how bad they wobble. Yeah, that moves some air on medium. I'm getting cold. I'm going to put them up, see how bad they wobble after a while, because things can change after a fan is installed. Blade density. Oh, I need to find a tassel. I want to put a tassel on there. Okay, so let's go get a tassel. I think I know where I have one. Yeah, I'm not showing you the full house yet because we're still unpacking, so it's a mess. But you get a little sneak peek, which is nice. Amazon come yet? Nope. That's where that is. So I believe, uh-oh, almost showed you some mess in here, but it's okay. This is a garage. It's supposed to be messy. I believe that there is a tassel upon the Newton, which I will claim for this purpose. I will have to set the phone down as I need both hands, so my apologies. It's chilly out here today. Sometimes it's as warm as it is in the house in here. Been trying not to show the ladder in shots because I don't think it's attractive, but the ladder is still here because I'm waiting on my replacement shades for this. And once I get my replacement shades, then I'm going to put the ladder in the garage. Okay, I'm going to have to set the phone down again. Okay. So as I said in the last video, my long-term goal was always to put a beefier K63 in here, since it has such an underpowered K63 for the blades and size. Well, this is for blades in general, I guess is what it is. The only beefier ones that I had at the time, which was, over 10 years ago, came out of 52-inch blender fans, so they were thicker. So in this case, the K63 fills the entire housing. It's, right up against the top of the housing and then right up against that decorative plate in the bottom center. So what I need to do is find the K63, one of those ones that's the same size but faster, such as in the polished brass 20th century in the stairwell, and put that in there. Although speed and torque are not the same thing, and what this actually needs is more torque, because as you can see, when there's less load on it, less drag on it, it goes plenty fast. It's just that you give it some oh, I'm sorry. It's just yeah, it's a result of not eating and sleeping enough while we're still doing all this moving in. So my stomach gets upset, which aggravates my acid reflux, which makes me cough. These are my favorite stencil blades ever. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that. These are number 1, and then Newton is number 2. I know I should leave well enough alone But I might play with these blades and make them a little steeper. So I wouldn't mind a slightly slower medium if I'm going to have a usable high. So, that might be a thing that happens. It's got such a long spin down because the blades are so heavy. I'm sure I said that yesterday. I don't know if there's any difference between that tassel and the tassel that would come with it from Casablanca. I know that Casablanca's originally came with tassels, but all the ones that I found from the K63 area, the tassel has been so disintegrated that I couldn't really tell. And then, of course, by the time you got into the K55 era, at some point the Casablanca medallion became the thing, and then everybody else copied that. You know, Design House had theirs that looked just like it, but said Design House, and SMC had their cheap plastic one. I think Incon had one. Yeah, theirs was a different shape, though. So, this is going against something I believe in, but it kind of works. Is that all the fans in the line of sight are different finishes. And I knew that had to be the thing if the air shadow was there and the World's Fair was there, because I don't have an extra brown and brass 38-inch World's Fair. But, yeah. So my original plan was to find a brown and brass fan for here that would bring that together, that would have both the brown and the brass. And it was going to be a brown and brass veranda deluxe with either cane or stencil blades. And then what happened is I ended up putting a veranda deluxe at the top of the stairs, and I ended up putting the slim line in the kitchen and the pro line in the garage. And I'm like, this is not going to be an all Newtone house with 2 veranda deluxes, even as much as I love Newtone. So I squashed that idea, and that was really the only brown and brass fan that I could think of for here that I liked enough to put in my living room. So yeah, that idea got squashed. But yeah, so I don't like the fact that they're different finishes, but really these 3 look about the same. The antique brass being so dark and the oil rub bronze and the brown, like those 3, it looks like the same. This is the odd one out, and there's nothing I can do about that unless I find a brown and brass World's Fair. And honestly, I kind of like the polished brass World's Fair here. There, I do. I think it is the right finish for that fan in that setting. It just doesn't match the rest of them. But this one goes so well with the other 2 that this one now looks different to me, and I wish that it didn't. What does that sound? Is that the TV? Did I leave the TV on? Or is the fan making noise? What does that sound? Oh, water softener's never kicked on before. That's a new one. Well, now I know what that sound is. Okay, well, thanks for watching.